opinions expressed on the Powerhouse radio station are those of the host, guests, and callers, are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other hosts or advertisers. The show, found on the Powerhouse radio station, can promote any lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or conditions. Opinions stated by various contributors to the Powerhouse Radio and its programming are not to be considered as endorsed by the Powerhouse Radio station. Visitors are urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusion. We emphasize the importance of keeping an open mind.
One by one Kia, full range of products embodies fundamental nutrients necessary to maintain beautiful and healthy hair care without having to combine an assortment of hair care products. The one by one Kia products are designed to rejuvenate, moisturize, create shine, fortify, and stimulate hair growth while leaving your hair feeling weightless and luxurious. Be sure to visit our website at www.onebywankaya.com and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at One by One Kia. Let's get your healthy hair care journey started today.
Yeah, you listen to the sounds of DJ Fourth Quarter in your ear right now. If you're in your car, if you're at home, if you're on your phone, let's gripe, baby.
Driving home and you're feeling kinda tired. Hey, radio play the same thing every day. So you need a little switch in your life. Traffic got you jammed up every night. Tune in to Powerhouse. Wednesday 7 to 9, you need to check them out. I promise I ain't trying to hype, but one good listen tonight, it might change your life. So what's the name of the show? You need something to just ride to on the go. Or you might be home, so log on. You can even dial in on your phone. I promise that you're gonna love it. Just try it one time, it'll blow your mind. Now I'ma say it just one more time. Every Wednesday from 7 to 9. Let's gripe. Let's gripe.
Hey everybody, good evening and welcome to the Powerhouse Radio. This is Let's Gripe. I am McKenna.
And
And we just want to say welcome back to the show. We know we've been gone for a couple of weeks, but we haven't left you. We've just had to deal with some things, so we want to continue to keep Lady D and her family and her loved ones in our prayers. And there are other people out there who need prayers, and we're just here to support and continue with Let's Gripe for tonight. So we just want to appreciate all of our listeners who are still checking in on us and wondering where we've been. We are right here, and we are ready to get back into the swing of things. Tonia, she is joining us virtually tonight, so she actually won't be on the show, but she sends her love, and she will be joining us next week. And so we want to just give some big ups to Tonia tonight and let her know that we are carrying the torch without her, but she's right here with us, supporting us. So we're going to get started. Marcus, you want to give us your welcome tonight?
Hey, what's up? What's up? It's been a minute. I feel like I had to get back in the groove of things. You know, I was scrambling around a little bit, like, hey, I gotta get this, I gotta get this, I gotta get this, I gotta get that. But I'm here now, ready for an exciting show. So let's do it.
Yeah. Well, it's Wednesday. It's like July. So I imagine the last time we were here was June. But something happened between like June and July. It actually feels like we're at the end of the second quarter. Halftime is over, and we're rolling around this curve, and it's going to be Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that's kind of how I'm feeling right about now. What about you, MG?
I feel like it's a lot of things happening for me right now. So this time frame, June and July, the start of July has just been like a whirlwind for me. So it's just very interesting.
I will say that it really has been interesting, all of the things that have happened and things that are happening. And I think people are in a good space. It's summer. People are feeling like it's summer. People are moving around. People are feeling energized. And I
still shooting the firecrackers.
Listen. They started on Wednesday or Thursday. It was super early. And this is my gripe. So here's my gripe. So Thursday night, I'm minding my own business, getting ready for bed, And, I was probably like 10 o'clock, so I'm probably watching, whatever and just chilling. And I kind of doze off maybe around 11. So I turn off the TV and all of a sudden I hear this boom, 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 boom. Like I literally just dropped to the floor because I was so discombobulated. I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, what is this? I thought I was dreaming. Was this a movie I just watched? I was crying. And then when I get off the floor, I realized, hey, McKenna, these are just fireworks. These are people they're pre-gaming on Thursday for the weekend. Like they're doing this 2 whole days early. I was over here literally on the floor. I literally got on the floor like, what's going on? What's happening? My gripe.
Well, I'll second your gripe, and then I got one of my own. But yeah, it was it was a mixture of firecrackers and of course gunshots too as well. You hear pow and you hear pow 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 pow, all through the air. So it was definitely one of those things where people were asking, did you go see fire? No, I don't need to see nothing. I hear it all night. Ain't no point. What do I need to see it for? I hear it all night. I'm good.
And it was really disturbing because I was confused. I'm like, is this fireworks? Is this gunshot? Is it an explosion? Am I in war? What's happening right now? And it took my mind a moment to realize, oh, it's pre-4th of July. They around here shooting up, bang, bang on Thursday. Way too early. Now, had it been Friday, I might have been like, oh, okay. But it was Thursday, so it caught me off guard because it was, in my mind, super early. But let the celebrations do what they do, I suppose. So, man.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even, for a minute, I really didn't even recognize the day itself. It just kind of came and went for the most part. And so I was just kind of like, oh yeah, it is kind of 4th of July. Didn't eat traditional, ribs or nothing like that. Didn't eat all that stuff. So it was pretty much like just another day, unfortunately.
Yeah. I didn't do the traditional celebration, with the, like you said, I didn't have any ribs. I didn't have any, I didn't do any barbecue. I did visit some family and I did go out to lunch that weekend, but I didn't do what I've done in the past. So it felt like the weekend, but it didn't feel like a holiday. And the only thing that really called it out to my attention was the fireworks and the gunshots that I heard on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. So those were some things that reminded me like, okay, it's the holiday. I mean, things that I've done in before, I've gone to see fireworks shows. I've gone to like live events where there's music in the park and festivals, but I didn't do any of those things this year, pretty much because I just chose not to. I mean, there were things that were happening and people were definitely moving around, but, and there was some, and even they usually have those 4th of July shows that come on TV. I've seen those in the past and I kind of shied away from the PBS specials and things like that. But speaking of that, I did read an article, and I don't know if you saw this, that Vanessa Williams, former Miss America, she participated in one of the PBS celebrations and she got some backlash for singing Lift Every Voice and Sing. In addition to America, she sang America the Beautiful. But in addition to that, from what I read, she also sang Lift Every Voice and Sing. And people thought that was divisive. What's your thoughts on that, MG?
Man, these folks out here, they they think everything is divisive these days. If you're not along with their plan, and we talk about this a lot on the show, about how there's grasping for power that once was. People are trying to hold on tightly to once was and trying hard not to, I guess I don't want to say convert, but I guess convert, right? To kind of this new way of what should be, right? But it's just more of that. It just seems like every single little thing that people do on a national stage, somehow it's going to be politicized, and then it's going to come down to race and all this other stuff. But as far as her just singing it, let her do what she do, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and then the other part that we've talked about on the show is that people are uncomfortable with acknowledging the different truths that happen in this country, the US. Like our experience is different. And when we acknowledge our experience, that's part of American history. We're not rewriting it, we're not making it up. We're just acknowledging that although we live under the America the Beautiful looks different for different people based on their experiences. And so Lift Every Voice and Sing is part of our experience. You know, that's part of our culture and that's part of our America and our American experience. And no, it's not divisive. It's including, it's acknowledging and making sure that we're being included. And so that kind of goes along with the backlash, you know, that people were talking when Juneteenth became a holiday or a federal holiday.
Well, hold up now. It was part of it was our people too. Now they was like, oh, so now y'all happy because you got a holiday. That ain't nothing. I was like, chill out, chill out. Let people celebrate this little victory. Let people just celebrate. But you know, the people like this ain't even it. I want this. I want that. Yeah, we understand that. Let people celebrate for the moment, and then go ahead and you know, ask for the other things. But people was like, oh, y'all just happy y'all got this little day and stuff like this don't really mean nothing. I say, golly, people are negative about a lot of stuff.
Get your cousins, Marcus. Get your cousins with that negativity. I told you I was feeling springy and summery. I done had 8 hours of sleep in 2 days in a row. Listen, there's not a lot of room for the negativity. So if you don't know how to be positive, wait and listen for somebody else's commentary so you can jump on the positive part of that. I'm just saying.
Hey.
I'm just saying. So what you're saying is Juneteenth is a holiday. So now somebody's going to be talking about it, right? That's positive. Somebody's going to ask, well, what does Juneteenth mean? So what do you mean? Oh, so the slaves, I forgot about the slaves. I forgot that they weren't free. They got a different notice. Yeah, they got on a different day, at a different time. And so all kinds of opportunities will be created to expose the rest of the American history. And I think that people don't want to have that conversation, but that conversation is happening. It's happening. That train is moving. People are talking about it. And like you said, in everything that happens, there's an opportunity for it to either be politicized or magnified and divided into races. And that conversation is happening whether we want to acknowledge it or not. And it's not stopping. We're going to be talking about it.
It's going to keep on going, man. It's in everything. And it brings me to my gripe, which is this young lady that ran for the Olympics. And I don't want to pronounce her name incorrectly, but I think it's Sha'Carri Richardson. Is that how you pronounce it? She tested positive for the smoking substance. She tested positive for it.
Okay, yes.
Mary Jane. She tested positive for it. And that's one thing. The part that I gripe about is the people's reaction to it. When she got suspended, they were like, should we protest the Olympics? For what? Why? She got caught smoking Mary Jane. That's on her. Now, we ain't going to dump on her and be like she's such a bad person, but it's about responsibility or consequences, rather. Accepting responsibility for your consequences, which I heard she did in the interview. But as far as like people like, yeah, we should boycott the Olympics because this ain't fair. What do you mean this ain't fair? They have a set of rules and guidelines that people should follow. And you out here like some old, you know, you're right. Tell her she did know better.
Tonya said she knew better.
Yeah, she knew better. And people out there trying to be like, yeah, we should protest. For what? Why?
But the other half of that story was she learned that her mother passed away? And she learned that in an interview. She was being interviewed by somebody and she hadn't heard the news. And they asked her in the interview, how do you feel about, and I think it was her mother, so if I misspoke the family member, How do you feel about your mom, you know, recently passing away? And so I can only imagine, having lost my own mother, the traumatic thought that you're having in the moment. Like, is this for real? Is he joking? You know, what, like, you're confused in that moment. And so we all do respond to grief differently. And we know that people turn to substances to deal with grief. So I'm not condoning her choice, but when we look at things and we look at it in the big picture, I get why she did what she did. Should there still be a consequence? Well, there are always consequences to choices. So I'm not necessarily saying that she should be exempt from a consequence. I'm just saying that when we put it in perspective, I understand that in that moment, the capacity to make the best choice probably wasn't there. And she used something that she's used in the past in a place where it happened to be legal, um, to provide her some momentary relief from the impact of the pain that she was experiencing. And then she was able to jump and clap right back and say, okay, this is why and this is what, and articulate it well. So I get that we have to accept responsibility. I'm fine with that. I understand that we have to have consequences, you know, for our choices. I get that the media has a way of slanting the story to make the angle look a certain kind of way. And yes, Kim, it was legal in the state that she did it. So that was, you know, that was the other part. It wasn't like she was in a place that it was illegal. So she didn't break any laws or any crimes. She just broke the protocol of the Olympics. And that choice, you know, caused her not to be able to run, I think, in that first race, that 100-meter race, but she still will be eligible to run in whatever it is after that 30 days later.
But she's
yes,
not. She's not anymore.
Oh, she's not. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's off all of it.
Oh, I didn't see the follow up to that. Okay.
Yeah, she's off all of it. So, but my point is not that what she did was, you know, we understand why she did it. She was in a situation where she found out some tragic news, and sometimes the decision we make in those instances, as you mentioned, sometimes are not the best going forward. But whether it was legal or not where she was, she's an Olympian, and they have stringent guidelines for their athletes. And so, you know, like, I feel bad because I wanted to watch her race, you know, her run. I mean, she was out there, she was beasting out there, but at the same time, I'm not with her. The problem is the people that are like, we should boycott the Olympics, they should let her run anyway. And my thing is, no, she broke rules. We have to shout out to Miss Butterfly. How you doing? You're right, Tony. She had to learn. And it's a great learning lesson for her. And she's gonna miss out on some money and some sponsorships and opportunity to win gold. And she got to wait 4 more years to actually do this, which I mean, sucks. But at the same time, the rules are the rules. You know, when you, and it's a lesson that has to be learned by not just really her, but people that, you know, come up after her, younger folk, even older folk, to learn, like, hey, look, if you do these things, you know, those are consequences, and the consequences could be dire depending on what you do. Now, I think we have talked about is it Naomi, the tennis player, right? And one of the things she has done is that, look, from the tennis world, is like, hey, I got a lot going on right now. I'm not in a state to where I could do this, everything that you know, encompasses all of this with, you know, playing and interviews and stuff like that. And so I wish that maybe she had done that, took a step back and said, hey, look, I really need to deal with this, as opposed to going on with the regular scheduled program. But like I said, my problem is not with her. Is with the people who say they should boycott the Olympics because she got kicked out for smoking Mary Jane.
Yeah, that's kind of the response that people have about things now. I'm mad, and I'm going to show you that I'm upset about it. And this is what I'm going to do: is I'm going to boycott it. Part of that comes from not understanding the story all the way through. other athletes were writing and stating, hey, there's a lot of great athletes out here who have prepared for 3, 4, 6, 12 years to be in this place. And so we still need your support. And so you boycotting the Olympics is bigger than you just saying you're not going to watch us. It also means you're not going to be there to support us, and we still need that support. And so I think that we do have to find a way to have our opinions heard, and then focus on those things that really need to be boycotted. And it's not the Olympics. There are rules that are in place. There have been other athletes in the past that, have tested positive for different substances and have been penalized accordingly and had medals taken back, and, all kinds of things that have happened. So this is not the first time that we've heard, such a story that an athlete tested, and as a result, they either can't run, got disqualified, or had to, surrender that medal in that award. And so, we still support her journey. Her journey has not completed. It's taken a different route now, but it's definitely not completed. So she has to go through this grieving process. She's getting 15 more minutes of fame just for a different thing than, what she had hoped to do. She's still an athlete. So perhaps in 4 years, she can come back and, with a fire and a fervor and a fierceness about her that says, okay, I overcame this. We've seen other athletes and movie stars and beauty pageant people go through adversity and come back and have a different life, but be very successful and very influential and very relevant to, the time, the people, and the community. So we wish her well and hope that that will be her story too.
Yep. Now, I want to talk about this, or it was a surprise to many people. But we're going to talk about the man himself, Mr. Bill Cosby.
Uncle Bill, Jello pudding.
Yeah, I just looked up one day and they was like, Bill out of jail, right?
And I was like, huh, what? Bill who? Cosby. I said, Theo Huxtable's daddy? Vanessa daddy? Theo, I was the Theo fan. Theo Huxtable daddy out of jail? What? So what had happened, Marcus? Please tell us what had happened was.
So apparently, I guess in the testimony that he was convicted on, he supposed to had immunity. He made a deal with the district attorney at the time to, I guess, have his testimony, whatever he was saying, in a civil case be non-admissible in a criminal case. So I guess that's what they convicted him on. And so afterwards, I don't know who said or who. See, I didn't even know he was doing an appeal. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't know none of that. We didn't know, it's a chance Bill could get out, because they were just like, judges said, hey, look, we're gonna go ahead and get this on out here. He can get out of jail right now. And he was out. And so I was surprised. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was very surprised. Now, question I have to you, McKenna. Did you watch the Cosby Show in the meantime?
I have not seen the Cosby Show in the meantime. And it wasn't because I was boycotting it. It's just that I just actually haven't watched it. That's kind of like, have I heard an R. Kelly song? I actually probably have heard, because people do still play them. And I think in the beginning, I was one of those people like, oh, I can't sing an R. Kelly song. But now that time has elapsed, if I hear R. Kelly, he made good music. I'm absolutely not going to take that away from him. R made some good music in the Cosby Show. If I catch it on reruns, I will absolutely watch it again, because it's possible to separate the person from the alleged crime or crime. And as it relates to Theo Huxtable's daddy, I do believe that in his day, he made some decisions that had a boomerang effect later on in life. And sometimes we get caught for things we didn't do, but we actually did do other things that we didn't get caught for. And so, life and karma, and it has a way of coming back around, not judging, because, we all have something in our past, but just putting in perspective. There's probably, and we know what that culture looked like. I mean, we had parents that came up in that culture where, men approach women in a certain way. And we didn't have as many laws, and we didn't have as many safety nets to go to. It was either accepted and have the possibility to advance, or talk about it and nobody's going to believe you. Like, every woman knows a woman who's been assaulted. Every woman knows a woman who's been assaulted. Whether that other woman has shared it out loud or just made a hint about it, or, if you're in a room, they say 4 out of 10 women have been sexually assaulted. So,
I believe it 100%.
And we don't really talk about it. And even Felicia Rashad got some backlash. She is a big Bill Cosby fan and supporter. And what happens is we see people who they are now. Like, if you meet the reformed version of a person, it's very difficult for you to connect with that person who they were or they could have been in the past, because you didn't meet that person. We are supposed to grow and progress and be better versions of ourselves. Like, if I've never been a big cusser, but let's say I used to be a cuss like a sailor, and then you meet me today and you're like, McKenna, she don't really, she cuss every, she's not really a cusser, because you never met that side. So that's how I view this situation with, Theo Huxtable's daddy. Like, yeah, I could see there might have been another Bill, even though I didn't meet him. By the time I met Bill Cosby, he was Theo Huxtable's daddy. He was Jello Pudding. He did some cartoon. He was Fat Albert in them. We didn't meet him back then, but it doesn't mean that those other women didn't have that experience of him. And it doesn't mean that the culture wasn't where, and even in today's culture, like we talked about T.I. and Tiny and other folks. So we know it existed and still exists, but is it right? Are people being held accountable? Now, back to what you were saying about this technicality. Don't you just love a technicality?
Yeah, I was a little bit astonished that they actually, how many people be trying to get off on technicality and don't. And he's sitting at the crib now chilling. He
has some money. That he had a little bit more money than they had, probably.
Yeah, just a little bit, and it's going to be interesting to see going forward. I mean, what happens? I heard he's been what did he say, Tony? Not saying he did not do those things. He was not given a fair trial. That's understandable.
That's the whole East point right here. That's the point. Because in this whole Law and Order, it does say that we're supposed to have a fair trial. And if we made an agreement in writing that said, if I share this information, then you later cannot come back and use this information against me, and you do said things and you violate this contract in writing, therefore and subsequently, I is free today because of this situation. Because we just said that the rules do apply. So we just told little girl, sorry, don't mean to resist Olympian, that although we understand you broke the rule, therefore. So we have to say back to the lawyer and the court that you broke the rule. You said this on paper, like it's right here. We signed it, it's sealed, we filed it with the court. This is a document that you violated. So now you have to free me. And in addition, subsequently, I imagine there may be some civil restitution that may be asked for, just even though he's 83 and it's just a general, just because the lawyer might ask for some restitution and because you just slandered my whole entire libel and slandered my whole entire name. And not only did I lose money, right, but those other actors that were up under me lost money too because of this situation. So somebody somewhere might owe somebody somewhere some extra revenue.
I think he'd be better suited just to chill out. I think he'd be better suited just live out his days, as just enjoying life. He's 83 years old. You're out of jail, and so just his money back from
Happy University. Okay.
Okay.
But I think that's a good point. Just chill out, be quiet, Fade to the black. Enjoy your 83 years.
Enjoy
But
life.
but now I'm 83 and I'm honorary though, right? I mean, I don't know. At 83, do you come back and do you just say whatever you want to say now, or does somebody somewhere say, have a seat"?
If they his friends, they will.
Just be quiet. Just go play some golf somewhere. Just,
Because although because although he's gotten released, it's still some people that like think a certain thing about him and think he's guilty. So he'd be better served just to go ahead and live out the rest of his days. You know who's doing that right now and who has a big following? OJ Simpson. See, now OJ, he ain't necessarily quiet, but he ain't on no other stuff either. You know, he ain't doing nothing too far out there, and he's able to kind of semi live his life. And he's got, I don't know what's up with people and really wanting to follow people who they believe certain things about. Like I'm sure he's got a bunch of followers, just like that former president guy had a lot of followers, people that just wanted to see what they said next or do. And I'm just like, why waste your follows on people like that? But hey, they have followers. But he'd be better suited. Bill Cosby better suited. Just go ahead, just chill out, man. Enjoy your life. Drink, get all the Jello pudding or whatever you got. Eat all the Jello pudding you want to. You're 83. Your teeth may not. I don't know what your teeth at, but pudding be good for you right now. Just eat all the pudding you want to, and call it a day. That's it.
yeah, yeah. And I'm sure there's probably somebody near him that's saying the same thing. Like, hey, just stay right at or below radar. Don't call any more attention to yourself. Go play some golf with OJ. If you still have some creativity in you, write some jokes or something. Write your memoirs. Write a book that we won't publish until after the fact. And the end. That's all we have for you. So MG, what else is going on in sports?
Well, we can talk about this basketball thing that's going on. When we last spoke, I was getting over a heartbreak. That the Lakers weren't going to be in the playoffs anymore. So now we've gotten past all of that. And the two teams that are left from the East and the West are the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. I just want to say congratulations to Chris Paul, who's been battling for years. And I must say, I never would have thought he'd make it to the finals unless he was on like a LeBron team or a really good team in the East. But he took this young Phoenix team who was on the up and coming, who had young stars who were hungry. He took them all the way to the finals championship, and I believe they're the favorite to win. So we'll see what happens.
So yes, and yes. I agree with all those things. One other thing, can you help me understand what's happening in college where these young athletes are able to, I don't know, get compensated?
They're using their likeness for their money. So I want to say it's something like semi-endorsements, so to speak. So you having these companies, say, hey, can you be like the spokesperson for my product? And you get a little bit of the one interesting thing that's going to be, and we got to watch this, is that a lot of universities have money, right? And I don't think that's going to be the issue, but the issue for me is probably going to be out there in Oregon. There's a monster machine out there in Oregon, and that's kind of donates a lot of money to the University of Oregon, which is Nike. So Phil Knight is, of course, Oregon grad, and the Nike campus is in Oregon. So he's big supporter of Oregon. So, for those kids, I want to say that one of them, I don't know if it's football or whatever else, but I want to say they got like a Nike endorsement. Now you think about that. Now that's going to be huge. And somebody let me know if I'm wrong about it, but I think I read that. Now that's going to be huge going forward. Now you think about that. You can be in college and get you a Nike endorsement in college. I don't know what the parameters are around how much you can get. You know what I mean? However, but if that's the case, and that's going to be huge for college sports.
I think there's going to be a lot more conversation as this, starts to unfold and athletes actually start to be able to sign with these companies and their likenesses being used and money starts being generated. I think that that momentum will create business opportunities for people to market, starting at the high school level, because those scouts that are out there scouting these young men and young women and these young athletes are going to be looking at, okay, not only what school can you go to, but what school should you go to that already has other athletes that, are making, like this opportunity is going to grow. And we'll get some more information, about it. But I'm excited for these athletes, even though I don't understand the entire dynamic. But, if there's opportunities for income to be generated and money to be made, not just for the universities who all these years have been profiting off of these athletes, these alumni associations and these booster clubs and these universities have made hundreds and hundreds of thousands and probably lightweight millions of dollars, especially in these big schools like the Ohio States and some of these Big Ten schools that, we're used to seeing, on TV, and they come to Georgia and fill up the dome, and these Alabama schools, like these Florida schools. I'm just thinking that there's some meetings happening right now. There's some conversations that are being had about, okay, how do we make this work for our school? And then because the school still wants to make their money, and then the products, whether it's Gatorade or Nike or Under Armour or I don't know what some headphones or some socks, everybody's thinking, hey, let's have a meeting for the meeting. Let's come up with a collaboration because this is how we make money. Somebody calls somebody and then there's a meeting.
Exactly. And just to throw a number at you, it was quite a few years ago, but the time that Johnny Manziel was in college and the school was Texas A&M, they were saying that that in the time or the year or after 1 year, the donations for that school were over 700 million at the time that he was there. Yes, ma'am. So the crazy part about him is the story was, I think he was signing autographs, and I think it was like $50 or something, some number like that, maybe $100, nothing big, nothing like that, somewhere in there. And I think he was punished for it. Like he was signing autographs, and they wanted to suspend it. I think he got suspended maybe a game or two or something like that for it. But the point was like, here you have this kid who is pretty much directly responsible for earning the school in donations over $700 million, and he can't make $50 off his likeness, but the school can make money off his likeness. So that was just another example of why this was necessary for these kids.
That's a great example of exploitation and capitalism in this whole happy 4th of July, we're free, right? Isn't that another example of that? So this is now part of our story where, and you'll probably have hundreds and dozens of people, former athletes, people that are grown and adults now who are on TV talking about, yes, when I was 19, I made, as you mentioned, $700 million for this school, but I was over here living like this, and my mother was living like this, or my aunt was living like this. Meanwhile, my coach was around here driving in this new car, and the university had a brand new stadium built, and the booster. So these stories are out here, they're real, and they've been happening for a couple, 300 years, but now they're about to come to an end. And it will be interesting to see, only because we live in the United States, who likenesses they'll be using for which products. You feel what I'm not saying?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's definitely going to be interesting. Definitely going to be interesting to see. Because it's just been like a whirlwind of like so many different players. Like, hey, I'm marketable. Let me hook up with this. For most of the players, even the lesser known players, I think they've been doing stuff like getting sponsored by the local barbecue joint. So they get free food when they go. Anything, something like that. So I don't know how much money is going to be is going to be given for all this stuff, but maybe there's a cap on it to see how much you can make, just to kind of keep it fair and balanced. But I don't know. I don't know the details of that, but it's definitely going to be very, very, very going forward.
So you are listening to the Powerhouse Radio, and we are Les Gripe. And we want to just take the opportunity to say we appreciate all of our listeners. You can tune in each and every Wednesday from 7 to 8. We also are still accepting Peach Corner letters. So if you have anything that you want to write in for us to read and go over, we'd be definitely excited to hear about that and share that on the air. We do want to give a shout out to some of the June birthdays. I know we got to a few of them at the top of the month in June, but if there were any late birthdays in June, definitely want to acknowledge them. Speaking of June birthdays, I will share a quick story, and this kind of goes along with Juneteenth as well. So in June, my aunt celebrated her 70th birthday, and we actually, of course, took a trip, and we went over to Myrtle Beach. And I had never been to Myrtle Beach, so it was my first time, and I'll definitely go back again. And we just happened to go on the weekend where, of course, it was Juneteenth weekend, and there was a civic organization that was having their Black History program. So we got some tickets, and we went, and we all dressed up in our African garb, and we had a real good time. But I will say my only gripe was, and it was at a community center, the neighborhood community center. So it was decorated with, black and red and yellow, and everybody was dressed appropriately. But when we go in there, we get seated, we had our table. Of course, they had the photographer, they had the MC, they played a little gospel music in the middle because that's what we do. But after everybody got seated and, they just had the little light music playing until the program started, you do know that your cousin back there in the kitchen did something with the stove where the fire alarm went off. So we had to.
Oh.
Now, the funny part was it was right during grace. So somebody was just about to bless the food, and they started the grace, and the fire alarm went off. We all sat there until grace was over, right? Like, we sat there until grace was over, and then we all looked around like, okay, is this for real or is this for play? Because we just had to finish praying about this food, so we weren't. Nobody moved. Everybody was just like, this man's still praying. I was.
No, what y'all were thinking was we hungry. Ain't nothing gonna stop us from this food. So go ahead and continue on this grace. We don't want to come back to it.
So, but literally after grace, they were like, okay, we're gonna have to exit the building. So they actually exited the building. The fire department came. It only took them about 5 or 6 minutes to get there. They did their little walkthrough, and it was, something happened in the kitchen, and it triggered the smoke detector. And so total time, probably 30 minutes from the time we had to leave, wait, and then get back into the building. And then we just rolled on like nothing happened, right? Because that's how we kept it moving.
So 30 minutes, y'all food sitting there.
It was still in the kitchen. Still on the stove. So they brought that food back out, put it in little serving platters, and then they served us our food, and they kept it moving. I said, listen, this is how we do it. Oh my goodness. So what's going on in celebrity news? Any celebrity news out there in these celebrity streets? I haven't really kept up lately.
I did notice one little thing. I think for some reason people had an issue with Mr. P. Diddy.
What's his name? Sean at one time?
Yeah, Sean, Puffy, P. Diddy, one of them, Combs. Okay. Yeah, it's all of them, I think,
Is he Justin Daddy?
Yeah, Mr. Take that. So all of them. But I was looking at the post and I was like, I don't see the issue. But for those, let me break it down for you. So he made a post. He was eating, I guess, I don't know, melons or something he was eating. And he was like by the beach, ocean front view, and he was like, this could be you. And what he said, the kind of story that he told was like, when I was younger, he said, I guess about around age 15 or so, he was younger. He said he woke up and he said to himself, never again. And he said, it's that mentality that got him where he is now. And for some reason, I don't know who, like I said, I don't know what's going on with people these days, man. I don't know if the pandemic done affected people in a different way. But people are upset. People were upset about this. And I'm like, how? Why? Like,
They
you know,
for real, like upset for real, for real.
yeah, I'm guessing. I'm trying to figure this out. Like, people had an issue and a problem with it. All he's saying is, look, this is my journey. Look, if this is the things that you dream about and things that you want, you can get it too. Hard work, do it. Everybody preaches about it in some kind of way, shape, or form. I guess it's just, I think it's one of those things. This is what I really believe. People are so wrapped up in who is the messenger these days, and maybe he is not on everybody's list of people who should be giving advice. You know what I mean? And social media has become this machine of not just really counsel culture, but we're not gonna pay you no attention culture, or you're not the one to tell us culture. You know what I mean?
And we're gonna rip it apart ASAP culture. Like you said, what? You lying. The man said, first of all, roaches don't congregate together like that. What? So the rest of the story was he said something about when he was younger, he woke up and there was roaches on his face, and he was doing the compare and the contrast that, if you work hard, this is what you can accomplish. So people went in on him saying that you ain't never had no roaches on your face. Roaches don't even, somebody said roaches don't even, they only come in pairs of two.
Who are these people? I'm really I'm really trying to figure this out. Who are these people? And have you ever had roaches in your house before? I'm not certain. I know for a fact you haven't, because you said something like they only travel in twos. I know you haven't. It's not a possibility. You haven't. There's no possible way you've ever had roaches in your house if you say they only travel in two. Anybody that know they had to drop a bomb in the middle of their house and leave their house for hours and come back
and find what? More than two?
There's a reason why people had to bomb their house, not for two roaches. You don't bomb your house for two roaches.
You don't spray your house for two roaches. You can step on them too.
Yeah.
You can step on them too, but you got the bomb. Okay, listen.
Man, that might have, you know what I'm saying?
But they came. But did you read the rest of the article? They came from him even harder because he went to support Lil Nas X or something, and then all of a sudden it turned to, go ahead, bruh. Why don't you come on out your closet too?
Now we have it. See, there's always ulterior, not motive, but agenda for these people. That's why I said so. It's not just that what he said. You can take what he said for face value and be like, "Oh, you're right, bro." But now it's the other stuff that, like, people just got in their head. Look, if we view you over here, ain't nothing you say, whether it's good advice or not, we ain't gonna listen to it at all. Let's get social media is whew.
Man, it really can make or break you. Like if you don't have some self-esteem, a network, some supporters, some love and support somewhere, a therapist or a spiritual counselor or a best friend, a man circle, a sister circle, it absolutely can tear you to shreds. Because this culture, we will say absolutely anything on social media if we disagree with what you said initially. Like you could be talking about yellow pencils, and all of a sudden I'm gonna hit you with, go ahead and come out the closet. Because this is how we do on social media.
And to me it's 80% of it start off as a joke for people to go viral. That's what it really is. Everybody wants to be the person in the comments that goes viral. So they start saying outlandish stuff. People can't just be like, oh man, that's good advice. Like, keep it moving.
That's so boring. No, you wouldn't do that. There's no attention to that. Like, I mean, nobody, you like, and that's it. I have to say something funnier than the person before. So if you said roaches don't congregate, then I need to say something funnier than that.
Yeah, like who's it must, my guess is it's someone who, I would venture to guess it's someone who's born in the 90s or even later. I'm just gonna say that that's just my guess. And I could be pretty prejudiced towards them, but my guess it would be those people who maybe have never had to deal with that sort of thing, which is great. That's great that they've never had to deal with that sort of thing. But for the individuals that have, we have a good understanding that two, man, you see two, you might be like, hey, what's up, bro? Keep it moving. But you talking about we talking about a whole army. What? A whole army? Nah. They don't. You go to war with these things, right? We go to war. That's why we drop bombs.
You
We go to
drop
war.
bombs in war situations. That's a very vivid example about the need. Okay, Marcus, you made it so plain right there. We drop a bomb on a war.
Yes, ma'am.
If in a fight, I could throw my shoe.
Yeah. If it was just two, we can do a little hand-to-hand combat. We good. We
But
good.
in war, we got to drop these bombs. Listen, for
Drop
all
them
the
bombs.
listeners out there, pay attention to what you're commenting on social media. Make sure that you're staying healthy because it is easy to get caught up in messiness and mess. And that energy, it follows you because now all of a sudden you have spent a whole lot of energy talking about other people's mess. And it's good to scroll through, look, laugh, and keep it moving. But sometimes these are people's lives. Like this is what they do all day long.
All
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Like all I said, man, you can't even come out here and just be positive. Give people motivation. You can't even do that no more. You can't do that.
Mm-mm. So speaking of young people, you mentioned a comment about some young people. So we've talked about these stories in the past, and the article reads, McDonald's workers all quit unexpectedly. And basically the article reads that the whole team of McDonald's workers, they quit. And they said they didn't quit because of their wages. They quit because the entire unit was being run by teenagers and there was no leadership in the building. And when they reached out to management didn't really do anything to fix it. So everybody quit and they left a note. And of course they did a video because they're young people, right? So they posted the video and said, this is really funny. And they put a face emoji next to it. And they said that they all quit because everybody who worked there was teenagers and there was no leadership. I was like, what? Is this where we are? So the teenagers were tired of each other, so they quit on themselves.
Well, I mean, I don't look. If this is true, I don't blame them. Ain't nothing worse than going to work in chaos. Nothing worse.
Oh, that part. They said worker solidarity. I'm glad everybody quit. Y'all figure it out. I can't work in a toxic environment. LOL, LOL.
Yeah. Hey, look, walk out. Because that right there, don't nobody want that.
And at 17, 18, 19, you are too young to be stressed out at work. You have other things to be, you're at work so you can put gas in your car, buy some clothes, maybe pay some tuition, hang out on the weekend with your friends. You're not here to be stressed out. You don't come to work. I remember being a 19-year-old worker in a fast food establishment. I wasn't there to be stressed out. I needed to go to work, know what I'm supposed to do. But so I'm proud of them to banding together and saying, guess what? Y'all got it. This your business. You figure it out.
Really quickly though. We got to talk about this though. I don't mean to cut you off. Since you said that phrase, it's this. Say it again. It's your business.
It's your business.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna talk about Miss Tabitha Brown. And so for you guys that may not know, she is the vegan cook guru. She's really blowing up these days. And she recently let her husband retire to go on to better ventures. He was I think he worked maybe was it 15 years? He worked for the Los Angeles Police Department for 15 years. And she was able, because she was doing so well, to let him retire. And some people had some issues with that. By the name of Wendy Williams. She had little issues with that because, and we always talk about when people talk about you and say negative things about you, what it really is based on is their own negativity going on in their life. And that's a perfect example of it, because she was like, what you mean? Like, she didn't say it like that, of course it's me. I'm gonna say it like this. My husband has been sacrificing for me for 15 years while I've been getting hit gigs here, not getting gigs here, getting gigs here and not getting gigs here, he's been consistent in doing what he's doing. And I made him a deal, say through my inconsistency, when it's consistently good, you're going to be able to retire. Now, I don't know, people used to say stuff like relationship goals. Now, that's one of them. It ain't got to play out exactly like that, but understanding that you're a team, you have a plan. And when that plan comes together like it's supposed to, you act accordingly, just like they did. I thought that was awesome. I just had to get that in because when you said what you said, reminded me of that whole thing. And I guess they call it a clap back. What she said was just so graceful. She just said, I'm not going. I wish her well, and whatever she's going through in life, I just wish her well, and that's pretty much the gist of it. For the most part.
Yeah, that was a good closing to our show because Tabitha said, "This is my business, right?" And just because your business didn't work out the way you wanted your business to work out, this is my business. And I could see her saying it like that. But I wish you well, blessed. I'm gonna pray for you, and I'm gonna pray that everything works out for you. But this is my business, and it's true. My story might not be your story. This might not have worked in your relationship, but like you said, they had some relationship goals. God, and she acknowledges God a lot. God bless them, and this was what they agreed upon. And he's not taking advantage of her. She didn't take advantage of him when he was working and she was getting a gig here and there. And we should be able to celebrate when it actually works. Like this is an example of it. We've seen examples of when it doesn't work. We know what that looks like, but we do need more examples of it's okay to make a short-term sacrifice for a long-term goal because we're in this together. And so both of them were making sacrifices. Hers looked different than his and his looked different than hers. And they made sacrifices. And even though he's quitting his job, that's still a sacrifice because that's something that he's choosing to do based on their relationship goals. And then he can move on and pursue other things. And they are still supporting each other because isn't that what it's all about? I'm here to support you and you're here to support me and we're here to support each other. And Kimberly says, positive energy. Yes, we need more of that. We absolutely need more positive energy. And he held her down. So now, why not return him? I know that's right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is 8 o'clock. We absolutely, positively enjoyed being here tonight with you. This is Let's Gripe at thepowerhouseradio.com. So make sure you tune in every Wednesday from 7 to 9. You can follow us on Facebook. You can send us an email at letsgripe@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you, and we appreciate all the support that you've given us throughout this pandemic and through this post-pandemic year as it's halfway through the year.
Couldn't have said it better. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We're without TONIA tonight, but we'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. Really quickly, I know y'all got Peach Corner letters because I see them all day off over Facebook, so send them on in.
They sure do, MG. They sure do. They gonna send them on in. Yes. All right, everybody. This is McKenna saying good night.
And this is Marcus. Y'all have a great one.
Let's gripe.
Somebody, there's nothing wrong in love with someone, yeah. Oh, baby, love and happiness. Love and happiness. Oh. Love and happiness. Love and happiness. Be good to me. I'll be good to you. We'll be together. Yeah. See each other. Walk away with victory. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, baby. Love and happiness. Oh, yeah. Love and happiness.